I stood in the doorway of St. Paul's, watching my son deliver my eulogy. Derek stood at the podium, voice steady, speaking about my legacy, about integrity, about family. Amanda sat in the front pew, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. Behind them, 200 mourners listened in respectful silence. They were saying goodbye to me, celebrating the business I'd built with 42 years of sweat and blood. But I wasn't dead. I walked down the center aisle and said, "You were celebrating early." Every face turned white, like they'd seen a ghost. And that was just the beginning. But 3 months earlier, everything had been different. The last normal moment I remember was the drive home from the plant. Tuesday evening, October rain on the windshield. I'd been thinking about Derek's 30th birthday next week, thinking I'd finally made something worth leaving behind. Brennan Manufacturing, 42 years of work, steel fabrication, industrial components, not glamorous but solid, real. The truck came through the red light doing 60. I don't remember the impact, don't remember the ambulance, don't remember the 3 months that followed. What I remember is waking up, white ceiling tiles, antiseptic smell, a machine beeping next to my head. My throat felt like sandpaper. My limbs felt distant, disconnected, like they belonged to someone else. "Mr. Brennan?" A woman's voice. She wore scrubs, blue, a name tag that said Patricia. "Can you hear me?" I tried to speak. Nothing came out. "Don't strain yourself. You've been unconscious for quite some time. I'm getting Dr. Reynolds." 3 months. That's what Dr. Reynolds told me. Automobile accident. Severe head trauma. Medically induced coma. Then real coma. They'd been preparing my family for the worst. "Where's Derek?" My voice sounded like gravel. Dr. Reynolds checked his clipboard. "Your son has been informed of your consciousness. He should be here soon." Should be. Patricia brought me water, helped me sit up. My muscles screamed. Everything hurt. But I was alive. Remarkably alive, Dr. Reynolds said. Miraculous, even. The scans showed minimal permanent damage. Physical therapy would help. Time would help. Derek didn't come that day. Or the next. On the 3rd day, Patricia brought me a phone. "Would you like to call anyone?" I called Derek's cell. Straight to voicemail. I called the house I'd bought for him and Amanda 5 years ago. $370,000. Wedding gift. No answer. I called the plant. Steve answered. Steve, my plant manager for 18 years. "Mr. Brennan?" His voice cracked. "Is this really you?" "Steve, what's going on? Where's Derek?" Silence. Long enough that I thought the line had dropped. "Steve." "Mr. Brennan, I don't know how to tell you this. Derek said you passed away 6 weeks ago. Complications from the accident. He said they held a small service. Family only." My hand went numb. The phone nearly slipped. 6 weeks. "I'm so sorry, sir. We sent flowers. The whole crew did. We've been devastated. 6 weeks ago, I'd still been in the coma. Still breathing. Still alive. Steve, I need you to listen carefully. I'm at Portland General. Room 412. Can you come here? I'm on my way." Dr. Reynolds released me 4 days later. Medicare covered most of it. The rest came from my personal account. I checked the balance on Patricia's computer. $17,000. Down from $43,000 3 months ago. Hospital costs probably. But I'd had insurance. Good insurance. Something felt wrong. I called a taxi. The driver took me home. 2-story house in Laurelhurst. 15 minutes from downtown. I'd lived there for 30 years. Raised Derek there after Martha died. Cancer. 12 years ago now. The worst year of my life. Until this one. I paid the driver with a crumpled 50 from my wallet. All the cash I had left from my personal effects. The house looked different as he drove away. The lawn needed mowing. Dead leaves everywhere. The paint on the shutters was peeling. I walked up the driveway. My legs felt weak. 3 months in bed. But I made it to the door. Tried my keys. They didn't work. The locks had been changed. "Vincent." A voice from next door. "Dorothy." My neighbor for 20 years. She stood on her porch, hand over her mouth. Oh my God. Vincent. Dorothy. What happened to my house? She came down her steps slowly, like I might disappear if she moved too fast. They said you died. Derek and Amanda. They said there was a service, that you'd wanted it private. They've been here several times, packing things. I thought they were settling the estate. When's the last time they were here? Yesterday. They said they're selling the house. My house. The house I'd bought in 1993, paid off in 2008. Mine. Where are they now? Dorothy's face changed. Vincent, there's something else. They're holding a memorial service for you. Right now. At St. Paul's. St. Paul's. The church where Martha and I got married. Where we baptized Derek. Where we held Martha's funeral. Thank you, Dorothy. I walked 15 blocks. My legs burned. My chest ached. But I walked. People stared. Maybe because I looked like death. Hospital pale. Too thin. Unshaven. Or maybe because I was supposed to be dead. St. Paul's rose ahead. Red brick. White steeple. Cars filled the parking lot. The memorial had a good turnout. I walked through the front entrance. The lobby was empty. Everyone was inside the sanctuary. I could hear organ music. Soft. Somber. I opened the inner doors. 200 faces. Maybe more. The church was packed. Derek stood at the podium up front. He wore a black suit. Expensive. $3,000 probably. Italian. Amanda sat in the front pew. Black dress. Pearls. Real ones. The ones I'd bought her for her wedding. $15,000. Derek was speaking. My father was a man of principle. He built his business from nothing. He taught me the value of hard work, of integrity, of family. He wanted his legacy to continue, to grow. And though he's no longer with us, I promise to honor that legacy. Brennan Manufacturing will thrive under my stewardship. His stewardship, my plant. Nobody had seen me yet. They were all focused on Derek, on his performance, because that's what it was, a performance. I started walking down the center aisle. The first person to notice was Tom Fletcher, retired accountant. He'd done my taxes for 20 years. His face went white. Then Janet Morris. She'd worked in the plant office for 15 years. She gasped. A murmur spread through the crowd. Heads turning. Whispers rising. Derek looked up. His face went slack. I kept walking. Right up to the front. Right up to the podium. You are celebrating early. Derek's mouth opened. Closed. No sound came out. I turned to face the crowd. I apologize for interrupting. I know you all came here with good intentions. But I'm not dead. As you can see. Amanda stood. Vincent, we thought, the hospital said. The hospital said I was in a coma. Not dead. There's a difference. I looked at Derek. You buried me, Derek. You and her. He found his voice. Dad, we were told you wouldn't wake up. The doctors said the chances were. I'm standing here. The chances were good enough. I turned back to the crowd. This isn't a memorial. It's a theft. And I'm not dead yet. I walked out. The whispers behind me turned to full conversations. Shock. Confusion. The sounds of 200 people realizing they'd been lied to. I made it to the sidewalk before my legs gave out. I sat on the curb. Put my head in my hands. Not because I was crying. I wasn't. But because my body had finally caught up with what my mind had been pushing through. Mr. Brennan? Steve's voice. He pulled up in his truck. I've been looking everywhere for you. Dorothy said you'd gone to the church. I came as fast as I could. He helped me into the passenger seat. Where to? Anywhere but here. He drove me to a hotel. Nothing fancy. Motel 6 on 82nd. He paid for 3 nights with his credit card. Told the clerk his friend needed a place to stay. Didn't mention the memorial. Didn't mention the fraud. Thank you, Steve. Mr. Brennan, what can I do? Get me the number for Richard Foster. Richard Foster. My attorney for 23 years. Real estate. Contracts. Estate planning. He'd drawn up my will 15 years ago, after Martha died. Everything to Derek, but only after Derek proved himself capable of running the plant. There were conditions, milestones. Derek had to work there for 5 years, had to understand the business, had to earn it, not inherit it outright. Earn it. Steve left me his phone. I called Richard's office, got his answering service, left a message, said it was urgent. He called back in 20 minutes. Vincent, is this some kind of joke? No joke, Richard. I'm alive, and I need your help. He met me at the motel that night, brought a briefcase, sat across from me at the small table by the window. I don't understand, Richard said. Derek filed a death certificate 6 weeks ago. He said you died from complications. He had hospital documentation. Forged. Richard opened his briefcase, pulled out a folder. I have copies. The death certificate. The will. He's already begun transferring assets. The plant is on the market. Closing is scheduled for 3 weeks from now. Show me. He laid the documents on the table. The death certificate listed my date of death as September 7th. Complications from vehicular trauma. Signed by a Dr. Michael Hartford. I'd never heard of Dr. Michael Hartford. Dr. Reynolds had been my attending physician. The will was worse. It was my will. I recognized the format, the language, but the conditions were gone. The section about Derek working at the plant. The milestones. All removed. Everything went to Derek immediately upon my death. Simple. Clean. Altered. This isn't my will. I compared it to the original in my files. Someone changed it. Professionally. It would pass most inspections. Can you prove it? In court? Yes. But that takes time. Meanwhile, Derek has legal standing. He's the executor. He's already accessed your accounts. He's selling the plant. By the time we get a court date, everything could be liquidated. What do I do? Richard closed the folder. We need to be smart, Vincent. Not loud. We need evidence. Documentation. We need to expose this methodically. I'm listening. First, we get you examined by Dr. Reynolds. Official medical documentation that you're alive. That you were in a coma, not dead. That creates doubt about the death certificate. Done. Second, we file a complaint with the state. Death certificate fraud. That opens an investigation. How long? Weeks. Maybe months. But it freezes Derek's actions. He can't sell the plant during an active fraud investigation. And the will. I'll petition for a forensic document examination. We prove it was altered. That invalidates everything Derek has done. What about my accounts? He's already taken money. We'll get it back. But that's civil court. That's later. Right now, we stop him from selling the plant. I nodded. What do you need from me? Stay alive. Stay visible. The more people who see you, the harder it is for Derek to maintain his lie. Steve brought me clothes. My size. Nothing fancy. Jeans. Shirts. A jacket. He'd gone to Target. Used his own money. I tried to pay him back. He refused. You gave me a job when nobody else would, Mr. Brennan. 18 years ago. I had a record. DUI. Nobody would hire me. You took a chance. I remembered. Steve had been 24. Desperate. Honest about his mistakes. I'd hired him as a line worker. He'd worked his way up. Proved himself. Plant manager for the last 8 years. Thank you, Steve. What do you need me to do? Keep the plant running. Don't let Derek near it. He came by yesterday. Said he's the new owner. Wanted access to the financial records. What did you tell him? That he'd need authorization from you. He said you were dead. I said I'd need to see documentation. He left. Good. Keep him out. If he comes back, call the police. Tell them he's trespassing. Dr. Reynolds saw me the next morning. Examined me. Ran tests. Wrote a detailed report. Vincent Robert Brennan. Automobile accident victim. Severe head trauma. Medically induced coma lasting 47 days. Spontaneous consciousness on November 2nd. Discharged November 6th. Very much alive. Richard filed the report with the state medical board. filed a complaint with the police. Death certificate fraud. Identity theft. The investigation opened within 48 hours. Derek called me on day 3. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. Dad, please call me back. This is all a misunderstanding. The hospital told us you weren't going to wake up. They said we should prepare. We were trying to protect your assets, to keep the business going. Please, we need to talk. I deleted it. Amanda called on day 4. Her voice was different, softer, almost kind. Vincent, I know you're angry. I understand. But you have to know we thought we were doing the right thing. The doctors said you were brain dead. They said there was no hope. We made arrangements because we loved you, because we wanted to honor your memory. Please don't do this. Don't destroy Derek's relationship with you over a misunderstanding. I deleted that one too. The memories came in pieces. At night, lying in the motel bed, staring at the ceiling. I remembered Derek's college graduation, University of Oregon, business degree, for years, $168,000 in tuition, room and board, books, living expenses. I paid for all of it, told him to focus on his studies, not to worry about money. He'd graduated with honors, walked across the stage. Martha had been so proud. She died 2 months later. Never got to see him start his career. I remembered Derek's wedding. 5 years ago. Amanda Clark. Pretty. Smart. MBA from Portland State. They dated for 2 years. Got engaged. Wanted a big wedding. Martha would have wanted that too. The venue? Sentinel Hotel. Downtown Portland. Ballroom for 200. Dinner. Open bar. Band. Photographer. Videographer. Flowers. The works. $87,000. I paid for it. Dad, you don't have to do this, Derek had said. Amanda and I can pay for some of it. Nonsense. This is what fathers do. Your mother would have wanted you to have a beautiful wedding. He'd hugged me, thanked me, said he'd never forget it. I remembered buying them the house. Derek had been working at the plant for a year, learning the business from the ground up, starting in fabrication, then quality control, then sales. He was good, quick learner. People liked him. He and Amanda were renting an apartment in Beaverton. Small. 1 bedroom. $800 a month. Not terrible, but not permanent. Dad, Amanda's pregnant. Derek had told me one Sunday. We were at my house, having dinner, just the 3 of us. We need more space. Congratulations. I know this is a lot to ask, but would you consider co-signing a loan? Just until I've built up more equity in the business. I'll pay you back. I thought about it. Thought about Martha. About what she would have wanted for her grandchild. I'll buy you a house. Derek had stared at me. What? As a gift. For the baby. A house in a good neighborhood. Good schools. Safe. Your mother would want that. Amanda had cried. Real tears, I'd thought. Happy tears. We'd found the house in Laurelhurst. 3 bedrooms. 2 bathrooms. Updated kitchen. Fenced yard. Close to the elementary school. $370,000. I paid cash. This is too much, Dad, Derek had said when we signed the papers. I can't accept this. You already did. It's yours. Raise my grandchild there. Be happy. But Amanda lost the baby. Miscarriage at 12 weeks. They'd been devastated. I'd been devastated. We'd grieved together. They never had another child. The house stayed theirs. I remembered the business loan. 3 years ago, Derek had been working at the plant for 4 years. Learning, growing, ready for more responsibility. Dad, I have an idea. He'd come to my office, closed the door, sat down across from my desk. Brennan Manufacturing should expand. We're leaving money on the table. There's a facility in Seattle, going out of business. Equipment, contracts, employees. We could acquire it for a fraction of its value. How much? $400,000. I've run the numbers. We'd break even in 18 months. Profit after that. I'd looked at the projections. They were solid, conservative even. Derek had done his homework. I'll need to see the facility, meet with their management. Of course. We'd gone to Seattle, toured the facility, met with the owners, verified the equipment, the contracts, the revenue. Derek had been right. It was a good deal. I'd written the check for $100,000. Derek had run the Seattle facility remotely for 6 months, then hired a manager. It broke even in 20 months, started turning profit in year 3. He'd been right. I'd been proud. I remembered the investment. 2 years ago, Derek had come to me with another opportunity. Dad, a friend from college is starting a tech company. AI-driven logistics. They're looking for seed investors. I think we should get in early. How much? 50,000. Small stake, but the potential is enormous. If they succeed, it could be worth millions. I'd been skeptical. Tech startups. Most failed. But Derek believed in it. Said his friend was brilliant. Said the market was ready. 50,000. But that's it. No more. He'd hugged me. Thank you, Dad. This could change everything. The company went under in 14 months. $50,000. Gone. Derek had apologized. Said he felt terrible. That he'd trusted his friend. That he'd learned a valuable lesson. I told him it was okay. That's what investments were. Risks. Some worked out. Some didn't. But looking back now, lying in the motel room, I wondered. Had the company been real? Had his friend been real? Or had Derek just needed $50,000 for something else? I totaled the numbers in my head. College tuition, $168,000. Wedding, $87,000. House, $370,000. Business expansion, $400,000. Investment, $50,000. $1,075,000. Over 5 years. And he'd tried to bury me. The next memory came on day 5. Late at night. I'd fallen asleep with the TV on. Some crime drama. I woke up to a scene where a detective was interrogating a suspect. The suspect was lying. Confidently. Convincingly. It reminded me of dinner. 2 years ago, Derek and Amanda had invited me over. Sunday night. They'd made pot roast. Martha's recipe. Or they'd said it was Martha's recipe. Dad, we need to talk about your will, Derek had said over dinner. What about it? You made it 15 years ago. A lot has changed. You should update it. It's fine as it is. But the conditions, Dad. The milestones. I've been working at the plant for years now. I've proven myself. Don't you trust me? I'd looked at him. At Amanda. She'd been quiet. Eating her dinner. Not participating. The conditions are there for a reason. So you appreciate what you're inheriting. So you understand its value. I do understand. But what if something happens to you? What if there's an emergency? Those conditions could tie everything up in legal limbo. The business could suffer. Richard would handle it. He knows what to do. Richard's your attorney, not mine. We should have our own representation. Someone who looks out for our interests. Our interests, not the business, not the employees. Our interests. The will stays as it is. Derek had nodded, smiled. Okay, Dad, I just wanted to bring it up. For your sake. But he'd tried again. 3 months later. Same conversation. Different angle. Dad, have you thought about putting the business in a trust? For tax purposes. You could save hundreds of thousands. I'll talk to Richard about it. I actually consulted with a lawyer, estate planning specialist. She said we could restructure everything, make it more efficient. Who's we? You and me. Family. We're in this together, right? I talked to Richard. He'd said Derek's lawyer was right about the tax benefits. But he'd also said the trust would give Derek immediate control, even while I was alive. I don't recommend it, Vincent. Not until you're ready to step back completely. I told Derek no. He'd seemed disappointed, but understanding. Whatever you think is best, Dad. Now I realized. He'd been planning this. For years. The will conversation. The trust conversation. He'd been trying to get control. Legally. And when that didn't work, he'd taken another route. Fraud. I remembered one more conversation. 6 months before the accident. We'd been at the plant. Late afternoon. Derek had come into my office without knocking. "Dad, we need to talk about succession planning." I'd looked up from the quarterly reports. "What about it? You're 64. You should be thinking about retirement, about stepping back. Let me take over the daily operations." "I'm not ready to retire." "I'm not saying retire completely. Just delegate more. Trust me to run things. You run the Seattle facility. That's enough responsibility for now." His jaw had tightened, just for a second. Then the smile returned. "Dad, I've been working here for 5 years. I know this business inside and out. I'm ready. When I decide you're ready, you'll know." He'd left without another word. I thought he was frustrated, impatient, young. I hadn't seen it for what it was. Reconnaissance, testing my defenses, planning his attack. I remembered Amanda too. Not the sweet, grateful woman who'd cried at the house closing. The other Amanda. The one who'd emerged gradually over 5 years. The first time I'd seen it was at Derek's birthday party. 3 years ago, they'd invited me to their house. My house, the one I'd bought them. Amanda had been in the kitchen when I arrived. On the phone, she hadn't heard me come in. "No, Mother, I told you. We can't afford that right now. Derek's father controls everything. Every penny. We have to ask permission like children." Pause. "I know. But what can we do? We just have to wait." Another pause. "Yes, eventually. It's all going to be ours anyway. We just have to be patient." She turned and seen me standing there. Her face had gone pale, then recovered, smiled. "Vincent, I didn't hear you come in. Let me take your coat." She'd acted like nothing happened. I pretended I hadn't heard, but I'd filed it away. A small warning sign. There had been others. The time Amanda had asked about my life insurance. "Just curious, Vincent. For planning purposes, how much coverage do you carry?" The time she'd suggested I should travel more. "You work too hard. You should see the world while you're still healthy. Derek and I could handle things while you're gone." The time she'd brought me brochures for retirement communities. "Just information. Some of these places are wonderful. Active adult living. You'd love it." Every suggestion, every comment, every question, all pointed in the same direction. Get me out. Get control. Get the money. I dismissed it. Told myself I was being paranoid. That Amanda loved Derek. That they were just planning for the future. That it was natural. But it hadn't been natural. It had been calculated. I lay in the motel bed, staring at the ceiling, and felt something I hadn't felt in 12 years. Not since Martha died. Completely alone. Martha would have seen through them. She'd always been better at reading people. Better at sensing danger. She'd warned me about Derek's first girlfriend in college. "That girl doesn't love him, Vincent. She loves what she thinks he'll become." She'd been right. They'd broken up 6 months later when the girl realized Derek wasn't from a wealthy family. Just comfortable. If Martha had lived, would she have seen through Amanda? Would she have warned me? Would I have listened? I'd never know. The next morning I called Steve. "I need you to do something for me. Anything, Mr. Brennan. Go through the plant's financial records. Last 5 years. Look for any irregularities. Any unusual transfers. Any purchases that don't make sense. Anything Derek authorized that seems off." "You think he was stealing?" "I think he was planning. I want to know how long this has been going on." Steve called back 3 hours later. "Mr. Brennan, you need to see this." I met him at the plant. He'd pulled up the accounting software on his computer. Showed me a spreadsheet. "Look at this. 3 years ago, Derek authorized a payment to a consulting firm. $75,000. For strategic planning services." "What firm?" "Henderson and Associates." Called them. "They've never heard of us. Never did any work for Brennan Manufacturing." "Where did the money go?" "Into an account registered to Henderson and Associates." But when I dug deeper, I found the company was registered to an Amanda Henderson. Same address as Derek and Amanda's house. She created a fake company. And he paid it $75,000 of company money. I felt something cold settle in my chest. What else? Steve scrolled down. 2 years ago, another payment, 50,000. Same company. Then last year, 40,000. Then this year right before your accident, 60,000. Total, $225,000. I sat down, stared at the screen. They hadn't just tried to steal my business. They'd been stealing from it for years. Small amounts, spread out over time, disguised as legitimate expenses. Can you prove this? I have all the invoices, all the payment records, the fake company registration, everything. Print it, make copies, give one set to Richard. This changed everything. This wasn't just fraud. This was embezzlement. This was organized crime. This was years of planning. They'd been patient, strategic, waiting for the right moment. The accident had been that moment. I thought about the timeline again. The accident happened on October 15th. 6 weeks later, Derek filed the forged death certificate dated September 7th. Before the accident even happened, he'd backdated it, made it look like I died a month before the crash. Why? Then I understood. If I died before the accident, it was natural causes. Expected. A 64-year-old man with a heart condition. Nobody would question it. But if I died in the accident, there would be investigations. Police reports. Insurance claims. Witnesses. Derek had tried to erase the accident from my official death. Make it seem like I died peacefully, at home, with no complications. But he'd made a mistake. He'd filed the certificate while I was still in the hospital, still in a coma, still very obviously not dead on September 7th. He'd been sloppy, desperate, greedy, and now he was going to pay for it. Richard called on day 7. We have a problem. What kind of problem? Derek has a lawyer, a good one, Gerald Sawyer, corporate litigation. He's filing a counterclaim. Says you're mentally incompetent, that the coma caused brain damage, that you're not capable of making sound decisions. He wants a competency hearing. I'm competent. I know that, but it buys them time. During the hearing, Derek remains in control. He can't sell the plant, but he can access funds. He can operate the business. He's technically still the executor. How long? For weeks, maybe 6. Depends on the court schedule. What do? We get you examined. Psychiatric evaluation. Cognitive testing. We prove you're sound. But Vincent, there's something else. What? Derek's claiming you're harassing him. That you showed up at the memorial and caused a scene. That you've been calling him. Threatening him. He's filed for a restraining order. I haven't called him once. I know. But he's playing victim. Making you look unstable. It supports his incompetency claim. I felt something shift inside me. Something cold. Calculating. Like a machine engaging. I'd spent 42 years building Brennan Manufacturing. Started in a garage. 1 employee. Me. Working 16-hour days. Welding. Fabricating. Selling. Growing. I'd built it into something real. 60 employees. 3 facilities. 12 million in annual revenue. I'd raised Derek alone after Martha died. Given him everything. Loved him. Trusted him. And he'd tried to bury me. Not metaphorically. Literally. He'd declared me dead. Held a memorial. Started selling my life. For money. Richard, I need to know something. If we prove the fraud, if we prove the will was altered, what happens to Derek? Criminally? Death certificate fraud is a felony. Will forgery is a felony. Identity theft is a felony. He's looking at prison time. 3 to 5 years minimum. Maybe more if they charge Amanda as an accomplice. And the business? It reverts to you. Everything he's done is invalidated. The accounts, the property transfers, all of it. What do you need from me? Nothing. Just stay clean. Don't contact Derek. Don't contact Amanda. Let me handle this legally. The system will work. But I wasn't sure I trusted the system. Derek had a good lawyer. Money. Time. He'd already proven he was willing to lie, to forge documents, to commit fraud. What would stop him from doing it again? I thought about my work. 42 years of steel fabrication. Building things. Fixing things. You don't fix metal by hoping it fixes itself. You apply pressure, heat, force. You reshape it. I needed to reshape this. That night I made a list. Everything Derek had done. Every lie. Every document. Every person he'd deceived. Then I made another list. Evidence. Proof. Leverage. I started with the hospital. Dr. Reynolds gave me copies of my medical records. Complete records. Admission date. Treatment notes. Coma duration. Wake-up date. Discharge date. Everything. No mention of death. No mention of complications that would justify a death certificate. I made copies. 20 of them. Gave one to Richard. Kept the rest. Next, I went to the county clerk's office. Requested a copy of the death certificate Derek had filed. Paid $15. They printed it right there. Vincent Robert Brennan. Died September 7th. Signed by Dr. Michael Hartford. I called Portland General. Asked for Dr. Michael Hartford. I'm sorry, sir. We don't have a doctor by that name. Are you sure? He signed a death certificate. One moment. Pause. Typing. No, sir. No, Dr. Michael Hartford has ever been on staff here. Thank you. I made 20 copies of that death certificate too. Then I called the Oregon Medical Board. Asked about Dr. Michael Hartford. Gave them his supposed license number from the certificate. That license number belongs to Dr. Michael Hartley. He's a pediatrician in Eugene. Retired 3 years ago. Not Hartford? Hartley? Yes, sir. Different person. Has anyone fraudulently used his license number? I can't discuss that over the phone. But if you have evidence of fraud, you should file a report. I will. Thank you. Forged death certificate. Fake doctor. Real license number from a retired pediatrician in a different city. Sloppy. Derek had been sloppy. I documented everything. Dates. Phone calls. Names. Times. Created a timeline. October 15th. Accident. October 15th through November 2nd. Coma. September 7th. Derek files forged death certificate. Date doesn't even make sense. I was in a coma then, not dead. November 2nd, I wake up. November 3rd through November 5th. Derek doesn't visit. November 6th. I'm discharged. Derek has already changed my locks. Already planning to sell the plant. November 7th. Memorial service. I confront Derek publicly. Every step. Every lie. Documented. On day 9, I contacted the Portland Tribune. Asked to speak with an investigative reporter. They connected me with Catherine Davis. Senior reporter. 20 years experience. Multiple awards. We met at a coffee shop in Northwest Portland. Quiet corner. I brought my folder. Mr. Brennan, your story sounds incredible. Almost unbelievable. What proof do you have? I slid the folder across the table. Everything. Medical records. Forged death certificate. Altered will. Timeline. Phone records. Witness statements. She opened the folder. Started reading. Her expression changed. From skeptical to interested to shocked. This is extraordinary. My son and his wife tried to bury me. Literally. They forged my death to sell my business. Why are you bringing this to me? Why not just handle it through the courts? Because Derek has a lawyer. A good one. He's claiming I'm incompetent. That I'm harassing him. He's playing victim. The court process will take months. Meanwhile, he's spending my money. Operating my business. If I wait for the system, there might be nothing left to recover. Catherine closed the folder. What do you want from me? Exposure. I want people to know what he did. I want his reputation destroyed. I want everyone in Portland to know that Derek Brennan declared his father dead for money. That's a serious accusation. It's not an accusation. It's documented fact. She looked at the folder again. Can I keep this? I'll need to verify everything. Verify whatever you want. Talk to Dr. Reynolds. Talk to Richard Foster. Talk to the county clerk. It's all real. If I run this story, it will destroy your son. My son tried to bury me. She nodded slowly. Give me a week. I'll verify everything. If it checks out, we'll run it. 6 days later, Catherine called. It all checks out. Every detail. Dr. Reynolds confirmed your medical records. The Oregon Medical Board confirmed the license fraud. Your attorney provided the altered will. Mr. Brennan, this is the scoop of the decade. When will you publish? Tomorrow. Front page. The article ran on a Wednesday, November 18th. The headline was simple. Portland man declared dead by son in alleged fraud scheme. Catherine had done her homework. The article included everything. My medical records. The forged death certificate. Dr. Hartford's fake identity. The altered will. The memorial service confrontation. Quotes from Dr. Reynolds. Quotes from Richard. Quotes from me. My son and his wife tried to bury me. Literally. They forged my death to sell my business. They held a memorial service while I was still in a coma. They changed the locks on my house. They told my employees I was dead. This isn't a misunderstanding. This is theft. But Catherine had gone further. She'd included the embezzlement evidence. The fake consulting firm. The $225,000 stolen over 4 years. She'd interviewed former employees who said Derek had always seemed more interested in money than in learning the business. She'd even tracked down the developer who'd planned to buy the plant. Got him on record saying Derek had approached him months before my accident. Had promised a quick sale. Had said his father was getting old and wouldn't last much longer. Months before the accident. The article included photos. Me in the hospital. The forged death certificate. The altered will. A photo of Derek from the memorial service, standing at the podium. A photo of the Henderson and Associates registration with Amanda's name on it. Sold out. Every newsstand in Portland. 90 minutes. The Tribune's website crashed from traffic. Over 1 million views in the first day. Local news picked it up. TV stations. Radio stations. By evening, it was national news. Derek and Amanda became pariahs overnight. I watched the news from my motel room. Reporters camped outside Derek's house. Outside the plant. Asking questions. Demanding answers. Derek released a statement through his lawyer. My client and his wife are deeply saddened by these false accusations. They believed in good faith that Vincent Brennan had passed away based on medical advice. They acted to preserve his legacy and protect his business. They welcome a full investigation to clear their names. But nobody believed it. The evidence was too strong. The timeline was too clear. The forged death certificate was too obvious. The embezzlement was documented. The fake company was registered in Amanda's name. The next day, more details emerged. Catherine published a follow-up article. She'd found the lawyer Derek and Amanda had used to file the death certificate. James Mitchell, a small-time attorney in Gresham with a history of ethical violations. He'd been suspended twice by the state bar. Mitchell had disappeared. His office was closed. His phone disconnected. Catherine had also found the funeral home Derek had contacted about arrangements. They'd provided quotes for cremation services. Derek had asked specifically about the fastest possible service. No viewing. No delay. He wanted it done quickly, the funeral director told Catherine. Said his father had wanted a simple, immediate cremation. No fuss. We thought it was unusual, but some families prefer that. Derek had been planning to cremate me, destroy the evidence, make it impossible to prove I'd still been alive. If I died in that hospital, if the coma had been permanent, they would have succeeded. I'd have been cremated. The death certificate would have been accepted. The altered will would have been executed. Derek would have sold the plant, taken the money, disappeared. The only thing that had stopped them was me waking up. On day 10, the district attorney announced an investigation. Criminal fraud, forgery, identity theft, embezzlement, conspiracy, possible charges for both Derek and Amanda. The district attorney, Margaret Chun, held a press conference. What we're looking at here is a sophisticated scheme to defraud Mr. Brennan of his life's work. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't grief-driven confusion. This was calculated, premeditated, and we will prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. Someone asked if Derek and Amanda would face jail time. If convicted on all counts, they're looking at 15 to 20 years each. I watched the press conference from the plant office. Steve stood next to me. Neither of us spoke. When it ended, Steve said, "How do you feel?" I thought about it. Expected to feel satisfaction. Victory. Justice. I felt nothing. Empty, I said. On day 11, the buyer for the plant withdrew their offer. Issued a statement saying they couldn't proceed with the transaction under criminal investigation. Said they'd been misled by Derek about the circumstances. Said they'd had no knowledge of the fraud. I believed them. Derek had told them I died peacefully. That the family wanted a quick sale to avoid estate taxes. That everything was legitimate. The developer's company sent me a formal apology. Said if I ever wanted to sell legitimately, they'd be interested in talking. I threw the letter away. On day 12, the bank froze Derek's access to my accounts. Pending investigation, but the damage was done. He'd spent $26,000 in the 3 weeks since I'd been in the coma. Hotels, restaurants, luxury purchases, a new car for Amanda, $5,000 handbag, $3,000 shoes, living like he'd already inherited millions. The bank flagged every transaction, sent me a detailed report. I saw where the money had gone, saw how they'd celebrated my supposed death. Champagne at expensive restaurants, shopping sprees, weekend trips to Seattle and San Francisco. They'd mourned me by spending my money. On day 13, Richard filed to have the altered will invalidated. The court scheduled an emergency hearing, but Richard had more news. "Vincent, we found something else. Derek had taken out a life insurance policy on you. $2 million. He's listed as the beneficiary. When? 18 months ago. You would have had to sign the application. Do you remember signing anything like that?" I thought back. 18 months ago, Derek had brought me papers at the plant. Said they were updated business insurance, liability coverage, workers' comp renewals. I signed something. He said it was routine paperwork. He buried the life insurance application in the stack. "You signed it without knowing. $2 million. If I died, Derek would have gotten the plant, the house, my savings, and $2 million in insurance money. Can we cancel it?" Already done. The insurance company is cooperating with the investigation. They're considering fraud charges of their own. The insurance company released a statement. Said they'd been deceived. Said they'd reviewed the application and found irregularities. Said they were pursuing legal action against Derek for insurance fraud. The charges kept piling up. On day 10, the district attorney announced an investigation. Criminal fraud, forgery, identity theft, possible charges for both Derek and Amanda. On day 11, the buyer for the plant withdrew their offer. Issued a statement saying they couldn't proceed with the transaction under criminal investigation. On day 12, the bank froze Derek's access to my accounts. Pending investigation. On day 13, Richard filed to have the altered will invalidated. The court scheduled an emergency hearing. On day 14, I went to the plant. Steve met me at the door. Behind him, 60 employees stood in the fabrication area. They started clapping, slow at first, then louder, a standing ovation. I couldn't speak. My throat was too tight. Steve put his hand on my shoulder. "Welcome home, Mr. Brennan." I walked through the plant, looked at the equipment, the workstations, the products in progress. Everything was running smoothly. Steve had kept it going. "Thank you," I told him. "Thank you for believing me. We always believed in you, sir. Always will." The hearing was on day 16. Richard presented the evidence. The original will, the altered will, expert testimony on the forgery, medical records proving I was competent, the embezzlement evidence, the fake consulting firm, the life insurance fraud, everything. Derek's lawyer, Gerald Sawyer, tried to argue that Derek had acted in good faith, that the hospital had been unclear about my prognosis, that Derek had panicked and made poor decisions. The judge wasn't buying it. Counsel, your client didn't just make poor decisions. He forged a death certificate. He altered a legal document. He created a fraudulent company and embezzled over $200,000. He took out a life insurance policy under false pretenses. This wasn't panic. This was systematic fraud. Sawyer tried again. Your Honor, my client is willing to make restitution, to return all funds, to apologize publicly. He just wants the opportunity to make this right. Make it right. The judge looked at Derek. Mr. Brennan, stand up. Derek stood. He looked smaller than I remembered. Thinner. Pale. Did you or did you not file a death certificate for your father while he was still alive? I did, but… Yes or no? Yes. Did you or did you not alter your father's will? Derek glanced at his lawyer. Sawyer nodded. Yes. Did you or did you not steal money from Brennan Manufacturing over a period of 4 years? I wouldn't call it stealing. Yes or no, Mr. Brennan? Derek's voice was barely audible. Yes. The judge turned to Richard. I'm invalidating all actions taken by Derek Brennan as executor. The altered will is void. The property transfers are void. The account access is void. Vincent Brennan retains full control of all assets and business operations. Furthermore, I'm issuing a restraining order. Derek Brennan and Amanda Brennan are prohibited from contacting Vincent Brennan, entering his property, or coming within 500 feet of Brennan manufacturing facilities. The judge looked at me. Mr. Brennan, I'm deeply sorry for what you've endured. Your assets are restored. Your business is yours. And I'm referring this matter to the district attorney for immediate criminal prosecution. Derek sank into his chair. Amanda, sitting behind him, had her face in her hands. I stood, nodded to the judge. Thank you, Your Honor. Richard and I walked out of the courtroom. Reporters swarmed us in the hallway. Cameras, microphones, questions shouted from every direction. Mr. Brennan, how does it feel to get your life back? What do you want to happen to your son? Will you ever forgive him? Richard put his hand on my shoulder. No comment. Please respect Mr. Brennan's privacy. We pushed through the crowd, made it to Richard's car, drove away. You did it, Vincent. It's over. It's not over until they're in prison. On day 17, they came to my house. I'd had the locks changed back, moved back in, cleaned up the yard, repainted the shutters, made it home again. The doorbell rang at 7 p.m. I looked through the peephole. Derek, Amanda. I opened the door, stood in the doorway, didn't invite them in. Dad, please. We need to talk. Derek looked terrible. Dark circles under his eyes. Unshaven. Rumpled clothes. He'd lost weight. His suit hung loose on his frame. We made a mistake. We thought you were gone. We were just trying to secure the future. Secure the future. Yes, we panicked. The hospital said you weren't going to wake up. We didn't know what to do. We made bad decisions. But we never meant to hurt you. Amanda stood behind him, silent, tears on her face. Real or fake, I couldn't tell anymore. She'd lost weight too. Her clothes were expensive, but wrinkled. Her makeup was smeared. You forged a death certificate. Dad, you altered my will. We were scared. You held a memorial service. While I was still breathing. While I was still in a coma. You told everyone I was dead. We thought you were as good as dead. The doctors said I was in a coma. Not dead. You knew the difference. You just didn't care. Derek's face crumpled. Please, don't do this. I'm your son. You were my son. You stopped being my son when you tried to bury me. Dad, please. We'll make it right. We'll pay back everything. We'll work at the plant. We'll earn your trust back. Just give us another chance. I looked at him, really looked at him, searched for something familiar, some trace of the boy I'd raised, the boy who'd graduated with honors, the boy who'd cried at his mother's funeral, the boy who'd hugged me at his wedding and said he'd never forget. I didn't see him. I saw a stranger. A thief. A liar. Someone who'd watched me sleep in a hospital bed and decided the inheritance was more important than my life. No, Dad. You have 10 seconds to leave my property. If you're still here after that, I'm calling the police. Amanda pulled on Derek's arm. Come on, let's go. He's not going to listen. Derek stared at me, desperate, pleading. His eyes were red. His hands shook. Dad, please. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. I was stupid, greedy, wrong. But I'm your son, your only child. Mom wouldn't want this. The mention of Martha hit something in me, something sharp. Don't you dare bring your mother into this. Martha loved you, believed in you. She died thinking you were a good man. I'm grateful she never had to see what you became. What I became. Dad, you made me this way. You dangled everything in front of me my whole life. The business, the money, the legacy. But you never trusted me with it. Never thought I was good enough. You treated me like a child. Because you acted like one. You wanted everything handed to you. You didn't want to earn it. You wanted to inherit it. There's a difference. I worked at that plant for 5 years. 5 years of proving myself. And you still didn't think I was ready. Because you weren't. And this proves it. The moment you had access, you stole. You lied. You committed fraud. You proved every doubt I had was justified. Derek's face twisted. The desperation turned to anger. You know what? I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I tried to take what should have been mine anyway. You're a selfish old man who can't let go. Who can't admit that I might be better at running that business than you. I hope you end up alone in that plant. I hope it's all you have left. Amanda grabbed his arm harder. Derek, stop. You're making it worse. He shook her off. Stared at me with pure hatred. We're done. You want me out of your life? Fine. I'm out. But don't come crying to me when you're old and sick and have nobody. Don't expect me at your real funeral. I already went to one. That was enough. He turned and walked away. Amanda followed. Got in their car. Drove off. I closed the door. Locked it. Stood there for a minute. My hands were steady. My breathing was calm. I felt nothing. Just relief. The district attorney filed charges 3 weeks later. Derek, felony fraud, forgery, identity theft. Amanda, conspiracy accessory to fraud. Combined, they faced up to 15 years in prison. Their trial was scheduled for 6 months out. Richard said they'd probably take a plea deal. Reduce the charges. 3 to 5 years. Maybe less with good behavior. I didn't care. I just wanted them gone. The plant thrived. Without Derek's interference, we completed the Seattle expansion. Hired 20 new employees. Secured 3 new contracts. Revenue increased by 30% in the first quarter. Steve got a promotion. VP of Operations. 15% raise. He'd earned it. Catherine Davis became a friend. We had coffee once a week. She'd won an award for the article. National Journalism Prize. She said I'd given her the story of her career. I told her she'd given me my life back. The Civic Center invited me to speak. Survival and Betrayal. A Portland story. I accepted. 300 people attended. Standing room only. I told my story. Start to finish. The accident. The coma. The memorial. The fraud. The recovery. At the end, someone asked, "Do you forgive your son?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. No. Forgiveness is earned. Derek hasn't earned it. Maybe he never will. But I'm not carrying the burden of his choices. I'm free. That's enough. 7 months later, I sold the house in Laurelhurst. Too many memories. Martha. Derek. The past. I bought a condo downtown. 20th floor. View of the river. Modern. Clean. New. I threw a party. Invited everyone who'd stood by me. Steve. Richard. Catherine. Dr. Reynolds. Nurse Patricia. Dorothy. The plant employees. 50 people. We drank. We laughed. We celebrated. Catherine raised her glass. To Vincent Brennan. The man who came back from the dead. Everyone cheered. I smiled. To new beginnings. Derek and Amanda pleaded guilty. Reduced charges. Derek got 4 years. Amanda got 2. They served their time in separate facilities. I never visited, never wrote, never called. They stopped existing to me. The plant continued to grow. We opened a 3rd facility in Sacramento. Doubled our workforce. Revenue hit 20 million. I promoted 3 employees to management positions. Young people, talented, loyal, people who earned it. On the 1-year anniversary of waking up, I drove past Portland General, looked up at the building, room 412, where I'd opened my eyes, where everything had changed. I didn't stop, didn't go in, just drove past, kept moving, forward, always forward. Martha used to say, "The past is just a story we tell ourselves. The future is what we make of it." She was right. I told my story. Now I was making my future, and it was good. If you liked this story, please like this video. Subscribe to the channel and share your impressions in the comments below.